Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our virtual opening ceremony for our open house that's going to be lasting all this week. My name is Tracy Harrison, and I am the Associate Director of Admissions, and we are so excited that you all have joined us this morning, and we have several great speakers that are here that are from across campus to give you an insight as to what it would be like if you joined us when you get to your first year of college. But first, I want to introduce our college president, Dr. John Wells.
Well, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. We're honored that you would take this time to really begin to consider what it would be like to be at Emory and Henry. You know, we are like everyone else. We are moving through a very difficult and odd time in the history of our country. But I have to tell you that even as we have had only limited in-person classes and been making the kinds of decisions to support the safety of our students, this has still been a time of profound learning. And lots has happened over the course of the last 5 weeks that we have been back on campus. And what we're discovering is, even in the midst of all of these circumstances that we face, real community is continuing to be built at Emory and Henry, and great learning is occurring. Well, you're going to hear about all kinds of things that we have in store at Emory and Henry. I can genuinely tell you that the experience at Emory and Henry is different than at any other college that you could consider. We bring together the best of liberal arts education, where we help everyone to develop and to ask the kinds of questions in life that really make life worth living. At the same time, we are a place of deep social development, where there are many opportunities to get involved in campus activities and to develop the kind of soft skills that are going to do well in the future. They give everyone the opportunity to be able to work with all kinds of different people in the world of work later, when we are taking time to develop the kinds of skills of developing community with people from all over the country and all over the state of Virginia. It gives us an added opportunity later. Finally, I want to say that we have many unique academic programs, and I can tell you that in our, one of the things that we're the most proud of at Emory and Henry is the fact that our professors are really dedicated to mentoring their students. High impact practices, making certain that we are spending quality time and intense time between our professors and our students of intellectual inquiry. And we're very proud of that academic experience that we're able to deliver. So I hope that this is a time when questions are answered. And as you go through the discernment process, please know that we are here to answer any questions that you may have. And we would be honored to share your academic journey with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wells. So next, I would like for all of our admissions counselors to introduce themselves.
I guess if nobody else wants to go first, I'll go ahead and get us started. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rachel Campbell. I am one of the admissions counselors here at Emory and Henry. I've been here for about 1.5 years, and at the moment I work with students with last names that start with D, F, G, and H. I am also currently the honors liaison and assist Tracy with events.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Oh, okay. Scott, do you want to go or you want me to go?
I'll go next if that's okay.
Go ahead.
So I'm Scott Green. I'm one of our admissions counselors as well. I've actually been a counselor here for 3 years. I'm also an alumni of the school, graduating about 4.5 years ago. I work with, if there are any of you here today who are students with the last names that begin with E, I, N through T, excluding S, I will be your counselor too. So I'm here to help you out.
So my name is Odessa Thacker. I am also an alum of the college. I work with last names S through the end of the alphabet, and I'm also the equestrian admissions counselor. So if you're interested in horses or the equine program, you'll come to me.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Amanda Bishop, and I'm also an admissions counselor here. I have been at Emory and Henry now for a little over a year and a half, and I mainly work with students with the last names A through C, and I also work with our student ambassadors and our social media. So welcome, and thank you all for joining us.
Well, I guess that leaves me. Good morning, everyone. My name is Antoine Van Buren, and this is my 6th day here. I hail from Virginia State University, and I will be working with students with the letters J, K, L, and M. And I'm happy to be here, and welcome to you all as well.
Thank you guys so much. So just a few housekeeping things. I do request that everybody stay muted, mainly just so we don't have background noise interrupting the audio. At any point in time, you are more than welcome to type a question into the chat box, and our admissions counselors are on hand to answer your questions throughout the presentation. And we will also be answering questions at the end as well. So I will let Scott go ahead and get us started.
All right, thank you, Tracy. So I'm going to start us out here today by talking about some of the points of interest in regards to Emory and Henry's campuses. In particular, as you take a look at the map here, and some of you who are more local might know this, but if any of you are coming from further away or who this might be new to, Emory and Henry does have its own main campus, but it also has a variety of other locations that we work with. In particular, our School of Health Sciences, located in Marion, Virginia, the Barter Theater, which is located in Abingdon, Virginia, and then also the Bartlett Crow Field Station, which is for our environmental science majors, in Glade, and then our Intermont Equestrian Center in Bristol, Virginia. So we're going to go into those next ones here in a second. So starting us off, we have our School of Health Sciences. So at Emory and Henry, we have a number of majors that are very popular. In particular, the health sciences are one of the most paramount ones at the time. Oh, makes me a little fast, that's okay. But with that said, many of our students who will do in undergraduate, whether that be exercise science, pre-health, biology, may choose to eventually go and do any of our master's courses that we offer at this second campus. What we do offer currently, it would be our mostly master's level and doctoral level. So at the moment, we offer a master's in occupational therapy, physician assistants, and a doctorate in physical therapy. And so with that said, many of our students that will go straight towards that after graduating in our undergrad who are looking into health sciences. Now, when I did mention equestrian, so and as Odessa can probably back me up on this, equine studies is very popular here at Emory and Henry. We participate in IDA, IHSA, and have actually been winners of 21 national championships. We currently offer hunter, jumper, and dressage, and so it is entirely English style. And we do have that location just in Bristol. But if that's something you're looking at finding out a little bit more about, I highly recommend reaching out to Odessa about that. Coming up next here is our McLaughlin Center for the Arts, and this is where our visual performing arts are going to take precedent here. Typically, during a normal open house, we would be hosting this event here at this building, where you would have a chance to see our proscenium style theater, which sits about 450 people. And is also the home to most of our theatrical events that are not hosted in our black box theater. We also are lucky enough to host 6 visiting artists throughout the school year too. And so going up next here, we'll go into a little bit more detail about the theater department. So with that said, at Emory and Henry, we have a number of offerings when it comes to theater. We currently offer a general Bachelor's of Arts in theater, as well as a Bachelor's of Fine Arts when it comes to the more focused sides, with that being directing, production design, and also musical theater. We do also more recently offer a dance major as well too. Many of the students that will be a part of the theater program will have many opportunities to work with the Barter Theater, one of the oldest theaters in the state of Virginia, located just in Abingdon. And so those opportunities are available to them via their professors, the connections they make, and many of those students will look at this as either an internship or something they will work with while they are attending during the school year. Then onto the side of our environmental sciences. At Emory-Henry, being that we are located in a more rural area near the backcountry, we have a very unique biodiversity that can be found in the Appalachian region. Our environmental science students are lucky enough to have the Bartlett Crow Field Station, which is 72 acres of land located in Glade Spring, Virginia, where our students will be able to participate in water testing as well as working with the local flora and fauna of the area. And I'd be remiss to not talk about our outdoor opportunities at Emory-Henry. With that said, Emory-Henry has a very rich history in the outdoors exploration. We've been voting a top adventure school in many past years and offer a very robust program. It is currently the largest club on campus, the outdoor program, where students are able to go on hikes, kayaking trips, rock climbing, bouldering. We also do have overnight backpacking and stand-up paddleboarding. So there are a lot of opportunities any student can get involved in if they would like to do that. And it's a ton of fun. When I was a student, I actually participated in a number of those myself. And I occasionally will still get a chance to go and visit them on some of the ones they're doing now. But most notably beyond that, we do offer our adventure team, which is an opportunity to do leadership training in the outdoors while earning scholarship credit. And what is covered in that would essentially be rudimentary leadership, wilderness first aid, and wilderness survival while out in the field. And then beyond that, we also are the only school in the United States that currently offers a semester a trail program that allows our students to hike either sections or the entirety of the Appalachian Trail from Georgia to Maine, where they can earn 13 college credits while doing so, and also have the opportunity to get out there and get the chance to be in nature. So it's a really unique program. And I can't talk about our more popular degree programs without talking about teaching at Emory-Henry. Emory-Henry has a very rich history with our teachers and who are sending out into the education fields outside of the college. So in particular, with the offerings we have, there are the opportunities to do a teaching portion with many of the majors that we offer. Those would be focused in doing either primary or secondary education. So that is to say elementary or high school. And then beyond that 4-year offering, we do offer a 5-year master's program for those who would be interested in earning their master's while still here at Emory-Henry. We love getting to work with the local schools, and a lot of our students are lucky enough to have the opportunity to make these connections while still being students. And then sometimes many of them might end up becoming the teachers in the area nearby as well. So we're always happy to foster that. And so one of our new offerings, though, is with the growing interest in engineering that has gone around the country, Emory-Henry is now offering an engineering science bachelor's. So this is a fundamental program that will go into essentially the broad-based basics of engineering and get many of our students prepared for going into graduate programs for engineering going forward. It is a new program, but we're really excited to see this take off in the coming years here. And speaking of new offerings, we have always had a business major and a business department, but we are now putting a lot of our developments towards our new School of Business, of which we have just recently hired our new dean, Dr. Emmett Tracy, who has years of experience in management as well as strategic improvements within the academic settings. And so we're really looking forward to see the renovation of one of our favorite buildings on campus that will be Carragher Hall, which will now become the heart of the business department at Emory-Henry, and which will also be able to offer a lot of more opportunities to our students going forward. So we're all really excited about that one. And for those of you who are not from around here, I will say the region has a number of extremely fun things to get involved with. Most notably, Bristol's Rhythm and Roots Reunion is a great music festival that features bluegrass, country, folk rock, as well as a number of other performers every September typically. And then outside of that, we also have a number of opportunities both between Bristol, Virginia and Abingdon, Virginia, the kind of de facto college towns for Emory. But if you really want to get outdoors, I highly recommend it. We're right next to White Top and Mount Rogers, some of the highest points in the state of Virginia. And we have a lot of opportunities available to get out and just explore and have a really great time outside of what the activities that we offer on campus. And then finally, I leave it off here with some of our previous accolades that the college has earned. And so to this, I will pass this back to Tracy and want to say thank you all for letting me have a chance to tell you some more about the school.
Thank you so much, Scott. So next we are going to be introducing individuals throughout campus from our academic and student success. So first up, we will have Dr. Mike Puglisi, who is our provost, and then Fred George, our new student experience director, and Lisa Vetti, who is the director of our Van Vlissingen Center for Career and Professional Development.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be with you this morning, even in a virtual setting, and we were so anxious to be able to return to campus and see you all in person at some point in the future. My colleagues and I want to spend a few minutes this morning talking about some of the distinctive features of an Emory and Henry education, some of the qualities and the opportunities that we offer in well-rounded and enriching education for you. And I'll start with what we call the connected liberal arts. Our education, all the educational programs at Emory and Henry are based on a strong liberal arts foundation. And when we talk about the liberal arts, in some ways, the liberal arts is often viewed as just a collection of a wide range of courses. And that's true at Emory and Henry. Your educational experience will include a broad exposure to different disciplines regardless of your major. But at Emory and Henry, the liberal arts is really our approach to learning, not specific classes. Because through the liberal arts education, you are exposed to different disciplines, you see different perspectives, different ways of gaining knowledge and different methodologies of study. You learn communication skills, you learn critical thinking skills, you learn analytical thinking skills, and you learn to synthesize what you experience in all of the different disciplines and bring them back to a greater understanding and an application to what it is you are doing with your education. And so our strong liberal arts foundation is integral to everyone's education at Emory and Henry College, regardless of the major you choose or the program of study that you want to pursue. And our programs of study are based on your professional goals. We call our educational experience at Emory and Henry a handcrafted experience or a handcrafted education. Because when you choose a major, your major will not just be a cookie cutter, one size fits all curriculum. Whatever your major is, you can shape that curriculum, you can shape that program of study to your intended professional path. So I'll just use an example. If you wanted to be a biology major, not every biology major is going to end up taking all the same classes, because you may be interested in pre-medical studies, you may be interested in environmental studies, you may be interested in a variety of paths that you would use your biology major as a base for. And through your curriculum and through your programs of study at Emory and Henry, we will shape that, we'll handcraft that experience so that you're getting that path, that direction, and that focus that you want to pursue. Our classrooms are very engaged environments. Our educational approach is to be very integrative. We don't have classes at Emory and Henry that are in large lecture halls. Your classes are small. They are interactive. There are very few straight lecture classes at Emory and Henry. You come into a classroom with a group of students and with a professor, and in our ideal and in most cases, that's a vibrant environment where it's discussion based. And you bring what you're learning and the professor brings the learning objectives, and you share with each other in the learning process. So it's very integrative. We want students to be involved because that's the best way to learn. We don't learn just by absorbing knowledge. We learn by developing knowledge in ourselves. And that's what our learning approach is all about. Many of our classes are project-based. That is where you take what you learn in the classroom and you apply it to some real situation, to solve a problem, to take what you've learned and come to a new conclusion and come to a new synthesis by working usually in groups with other students collaboratively to address a problem and come to a new synthesis and come to a new conclusion. We also incorporate professional development opportunities into our learning experience. Mr. Sveti is going to be telling you more about those in just a few moments. But we want you, while you're at Emory and Henry, not to just learn in the classroom. We want you to be able to take what you learn outside the classroom, apply it to problems, use it to create solutions, and learn through professional development. We want you to be evolving as a professional even in your student years at Emory and Henry. Our education is all about making connections, communicating, learning from others, teaching others, and putting what we learn to good use. Lots of opportunities to do that. As I said, your classes are not just going to be lectures. You'll have class projects and research, as I said, often in groups, because that's the way we work in our world. We're collaborative. And so we want you to learn that collaborative process of taking on a project, taking on a problem, and as a group coming to a solution. We have many opportunities for civic engagement and community service. And those opportunities also can be linked to your programs of study, so that again, you're finding outlets to put what you've learned to use while you're at Emory and Henry. We have opportunities for travel, for study away from campus. That can be either domestic or international. Of course, with the current pandemic, some of those opportunities are limited at this time, but that still is a part of our educational vision and educational experience for our students. Work experience and internships. Again, Mr. Sveti is going to go into this in more detail, but we want you to have those opportunities to develop as a professional while you're gaining your education and developing your education at Emory and Henry College. Dr. Wells, President Wells mentioned our faculty. Our faculty are here for you. They are very engaged. They're very interactive. A fact about Emory and Henry College faculty is that our faculty have achieved more awards on the state and national level for the quality of their teaching than any other college in the state of Virginia, regardless of size and regardless of scope. We're very proud of that. Our faculty are actively engaged in research and in most cases involve their students in that research as well, but they're here primarily to teach. And a lot of the teaching goes on outside the classroom, in office hours, in campus opportunities, in service projects. And so our faculty and the interest they take in our students and the relationships that they build with our students is fundamental to our education. And lastly, and this leads into the next slides, we consciously look for opportunities for you to present and share what you've learned in the classroom. A couple of these slides are going to show some poster session days that we set up. And that's from your first semester at Emory and Henry College, where groups in their first year seminars working on projects as groups address an issue, come to conclusions, and present a presentation. And so we provide opportunities for you to do that on campus, from your first semester as a first-year student at Emory and Henry all the way through your senior year through a variety of types of presentation. Because we feel that is sharing what you've learned, it's letting other people know what you've learned, but it's also a way of learning more yourself by that interaction and by making those connections. We want you to be very active at Emory and Henry. We want you to be able to gain professional experience while you are here with us as a student, because from the day you step on our campus, we're thinking ahead to the time you graduate and you go to that first job interview and the potential employer says to you, tell me about yourself. Well, we want you to be able to answer not with, here's what I majored in at Emory and Henry, but here's what I've already accomplished while I was at Emory and Henry, learning to be a professional in this chosen field. And that's what our education is about, is providing you those opportunities to develop and to become a professional ready for the world of work. So thank you for being with us this morning. I'm going to turn this over now to Fred George, and we certainly look forward to seeing you again at Emory and Henry College.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Puglisi, and thank you to the admissions staff for allowing me to come on here and talk for a couple of minutes. I've got a few slides to talk about, and even though these are going to be different slides, they all work together naturally. So my name is Frederick George. I am the new Student Experience Director. I've been at Emory and Henry going on 6 years now. So I'm also an alum of the institution. But the first thing I want to talk about today is advising. So when we look at advising at Emory and Henry, we started a new advising model, and that is access advising. And so I get an opportunity to work with 5 other colleagues. And what we do, what our overall goal is and model is in advising is to really be able to empower you as a student to take ownership of your college experience while letting you know that you have a support system behind you if you would need that. And so when we look at the advising team, again, there are 6 of us, and we split the first year class up. And the way we do that is, Dr. Puglisi touched on it a little bit, is by your freshman seminar, right? So when you come to your registration days, we actually group you with students who will be in your Core 100 or freshman seminar class. So you're already getting an opportunity to meet students, but these are also going to be students that you're going to be in your freshman seminar class with. So your advisor will be your advisor through the whole first year semester. So one of the things that we're really excited about with this is the access. So all of the advisors work throughout the summer. And so previously we had faculty that were advisors. And so sometimes in the summertime, depending on different contracts, the availability can be different. And so we're really excited about this new model for you'll have the same advisor all through the summer leading into your first year. And then one of the things we also want to do is we're going to talk about the academic major. You're also going to have an opportunity. You'll sit down with your advisor. You'll go through that schedule. But we talk about life in general as well, right? I mean, you're going to come to college to get an education, but we talk about some of the things that you're interested in. We ask you about your family, where you're from, how you found these interests, and to get into this potential major academic career, right? But then we also, one of the things that we really ensure is that we want to get you into at least one class that is going directly towards your academic major. Now, you'll still have some of those prerequisite courses, and different students, you know, it depends on the student and what they're bringing in. Some students may test out of those if you've taken some dual enrollment classes, but it doesn't just end with your schedule. We're going to be with you throughout the first year. And so we have 3, what we say, mandatory or strongly, you know, encouraged meetings that we'll have with you. But as first year advisors with this model, we also come into your freshman seminar class. Would it be different if you're a transfer? If you're a transfer student, sorry, I know this wasn't part of it. I'm just used to answering the questions. But if you're a student, if a student is an undecided transfer student, I will be their advisor. If you are a transfer student that already knows what major you want to go in, I will be connecting you with the actual academic advisor within that direct department. So we actually have a separate registration day for transfers, because we know that you're not necessarily in the same spot. You've had different experiences. So we don't want to, it's not a one size fits all. We want to be able to really tailor that experience to the student. So along with that, again, we come into those transfer classes and we come into the first year seminar classes. And even when coming to those classes, we check on you throughout the year. We've had a meeting just last week to where a student was set on one schedule. We made their classes, made that schedule. And then they decided after taking some of those classes that they may want to switch some of the classes for their second semester. So we were able to do that. And so again, it's not just we meet you at registration day, you get your schedule, and then you never hear from us again. So we're going to work with you throughout that first year. Another thing that we're going to, again, I talked about how these things naturally connect, the hub. So the hub it's literally a safety net. So it is a system that we use. And what it does is every administrator, faculty, and staff have access to the hub. And so we use it for different surveys, but there is also to let us know if, let's say, if a student is not in class, maybe they had a family emergency and a professor notices that, they then can put that information in the hub, which then sends it to our Office of Student Success, and we go follow up and we check on that student. Or if a student may be, falling behind in a class, then we can do that. And so what I can do on my side and what the rest of my colleagues can do is we're able to connect you with people that are going to be in your life. So it's not always just a first year advisor. If it's a student athlete, it may be one of those coaches. If it's somebody that's engaged in a social group, we may be reaching out to someone in Greek life, or someone in housing, or someone in student employment. So we work as a team. One of the things that as a first year advising staff, we know that we are only as successful as the rest of our colleagues. So we know that retention and the overall student experience is really built upon how, as an institution, we work as a collective and work together. So there are things that we do to connect students to other departments to help them. There are things that we do to connect students to career services as well. But again, the safety net, the hub is a safety net to make sure that we're just in the loop with what's going on with students, because we're not there with them every single minute of the day, but it's us as a staff and as an institution working together to make sure that we're keeping an eye on students and to make sure that we're able to support them in the ways that they need to be. The Power Resource Center, and on campus we refer to it as the PRC, but the Power Resource Center has a multitude of resources. We have licensed counselors. We also have academic counseling. We also have just different tutoring sessions as well. If you want to have student instructors, or if students need different accommodations, we have that as well, whether that be physical accommodations or testing accommodations. They come through the Power Resource Center. So, obviously with COVID, we've kind of changed and done a lot more virtual meetings, but we always have our doors open. If a student just needs to come in and talk, we have advisors in there as well. In all of these counseling sessions, if a student were to need them, they are not an extra additional fee. So those are free for students to come in and take advantage of those. And then the last thing, all of this really works together for a sense of retention and graduating on time. So I think that whether it be from the first year advising to actually declaring your major, to the Power Resource Center, to when Mr. Savedi is going to come on and talk about career counseling and really talking about that professional development, it all naturally works together for that graduation and talking to that future employer. And so that's what we're here for. We really want to help first year students. We want to help them when they're coming, when they're undecided, when they have a lot of ideas of what they want to do, really working to collaborate with other people on campus, using that safety net to make sure we're supporting those students in the ways that they need. And also knowing that is, with that support system, it's very individualistic, right? So, it's not necessarily what works for one student, it's not necessarily going to work for another student. And so we really want to take the right approach and be able to connect students with the right people to make sure that they're successful at Emory Henry. So I tried to wrap that up in 5 minutes. I think that was my time. So my email address, I can put that in the chat if that's okay, Tracy. And that way, if anybody has any questions about the registration process, orientation, or advisor, anything like that, definitely feel free to contact me and I will gladly get back to you with answers.
Yes, that's absolutely, yeah, that is fine. And if anybody else that is any of our guest speakers today are more than welcome to put your contact information over in the chat. If any of our attendees would like to further reach out to you to specifically discuss their situation and what they're looking towards.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Lee Savetti. I'm the director of the Van Vlissingen Center for Career and Professional Development. I'm very excited to be talking today from a brand new renovated facility. That's part of a $5 million endowment by John and Maureen Van Vlissingen, who decided that they wanted to make a gift to help students succeed, develop professional development skills, and be career and life ready. So I'd like you to meet my team. You know, part of the endowment is a 20-year commitment for me to come here, and I am the director. I've come from 21 years, most recently from University of Notre Dame and Wake Forest University, where I built innovative career development programs at those institutions. But I came here to make a difference in students' lives. And I'm so proud to introduce my team to you, which includes a holistic view of career development. And through my career in higher education, I have not seen such an innovative, connected academic curriculum to career success that I have here. And that's why I came here to build the program, the commitment, the investment, and now I've got the people. Amanda Gardner, she's my assistant director of internship programs. We ask you to do one or two internships before you graduate. Adria Hayden, she came from Nashville most recently. Business background, she's my assistant director for student employment. In normal years, we award over $500,000 of student aid to students to be able to work on campus. Another way to gain experience. We had 71 first years come into our office last week to fill out paperwork, and they're beginning to work right now. It also helps their budget in contributing to the tuition dollars for the family. And my career advisor is Christine Arias. She is terrific. She's bilingual. She's coming from the Miami, Florida area from Stetson University, also experienced at Northern Colorado. Great team. To round it off is Paula McGraw. She came from admissions. She runs our website, our communications, our data, and this, I call it my dream team, and I smile because it really is. And every one of these individuals will be working with you if you come to Emory and Henry College. 4 keys to career success. You know, my boss, Mike Puglisi, talked about it. Emmett Tracy, our new business dean, is going to help me integrate this. And there are 4 pillars, because career development can get overwhelming. What am I going to do? Well, you're going to learn here. You're going to connect it to skill building, because we're in a skill-based economy, and we're going to prepare you 4 years from now to be successful against the best candidates in the country. Work experience, I mentioned that. You're going to hear it again. You know, career and life ready is about building experience for the world of work. Leadership, whether it's outdoor education, fraternities, sororities, athletes, you're our future leaders of the world. We're investing in you because we need you in this country, in this nation. And then service leadership, serve. You're going to give back. And when you do that from a community service perspective, it builds your resume. And you look at learn, work, serve, and lead, these 4 pillars. Keep this in mind, and you'll be successful for a lifetime. And our students get jobs and internships. And I picked this slide because every one of these organizations, we have Emory and Henry College alumni working here that can also help connect you to internships. But our students have found jobs in healthcare, communications, entertainment, government, banking, technology, I mentioned entertainment, but communications, and more. This is a sample list of the future of your internships and your full-time job later on, because this is an investment. And this college invests in your future where you'll get a return on that investment. You know, part of our advising next is helping students get to graduate school. I know we have some of you thinking about, you know, I want to be a doctor, you know, I want to go to medical school, which my daughter's in her 4th year. And I sat with her 7 years ago. We were talking about what school she's going to choose. Teaching, master's programs there, public policy and government, science, technology, research, law, and the list goes on, where you can actually fund 100% of your graduate degree. And if you start early, you can actually, I call it a free graduate degree. It's not free because you work for it hard work, but you can get that and we'll help you launch that. About 35% of our students go on to graduate school and the other 65% find jobs. And then alumni career connections. When you come to a place like Emory and Henry College, there's something happens here that's very special. So I'm a new faculty and staff member to the college. And in 8 weeks, I got to tell you, I've been welcomed in an open community. I've had alumni call me, hey, Lee, let me know when you can do live internships. Well, we're doing in-person internships. We're able to do that with COVID. And our alumni are very loyal to this institution. And they certainly give back to help us build bricks and mortar. The new business school is an example of that. But it's more than that. It's that connectivity that started this presentation this morning. It's a lifetime commitment. I call it 4 + 40, 4 years at the college here, and 40 more with the alumni connections in our family. I do hope you visit us. We love to see you in the Van Vlissingen Center. It's a brand new renovated facility on campus. It's right, I really do love our location across from the duck pond, next to the cafeteria, the dorms. Students walk by every day. We're student-focused, student-centered, and career-oriented. So thank you very much for your time. I'll put my information in the chat. Feel free to follow up with me, because if you get down between two colleges, which one do I choose? Please call me. Again, my background speaks for itself. Look me up on LinkedIn if you have a connection there. So thank you very much for your time today, and good luck with your decision. That's a big one, and your hearts are with you.
Thank you all so much. Next, I would like to introduce part of our Housing and Resident Life staff, our Assistant Dean of Students, Josh Von Castle.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and post my contact information in the chat so that you have it there. I know housing questions, sometimes we have plenty of them. It's a big important part of the experience living on campus. And going to college is living in a community of your peers. And sometimes I find that students who are making decisions and getting ready to transition to campus life have some nerves about a roommate, living in a large residence hall. And so I hope to be able to help with some of those questions today. But I know that it will only be the tip of the iceberg for a lot of people, and that's perfectly fine. And so please feel free to utilize the contact information there to ask any questions that you want to ask to help ease any of those nerves about transitioning and living on campus, or generally questions about Emory and Henry College. We're happy to help. So living on campus, Emory and Henry College since 1836 has been a residential college. And so we do have a sizable commuter student population that lives within the region, but 80% of our students live in campus housing. We require that students live on campus or commute from home because we know that living on campus helps connect students more. It makes them feel part of the community. They're more likely to get involved, and they're more likely to succeed. When you look at our housing options on campus, you see a range. For a school our size, we offer a lot of variety. And so it ranges from large halls, traditional style halls that you see at a lot of colleges and universities, to small house living that we intentionally designed. And so we have houses on campus that have a max occupancy of 22 students. The reason why we do that is because at Emory and Henry, we value those intimate, close community experiences, and we want to be able to offer that in housing as well. We also offer apartment living. We have townhouse apartments that are on campus that a lot of our upperclassmen end up transitioning into in their later years, that offers a little bit more independence and privacy. And so you see there large halls, small houses, apartments, a lot of variety there. So how do you go about receiving an assignment? That tends to be the most pressing question for a lot of students who are considering coming to Emory-Henry. Unlike a lot of our peer institutions that will make assignments in late July, and there's a variety of reasons why they do that, and we respect that. Because of our size, we're able to announce housing assignments a lot earlier than our peer institutions. And so as soon as a student is able to pay their deposit and commit to coming to Emory-Henry, and as soon as they complete their housing agreement after depositing, we go ahead and work with them on housing placement. And so we like to let them know which building they will be in, what the amenities are for that building, so that they have a sense of what the room would be like. They can begin preparing mentally for what sorts of things do I need to buy? What do I need to bring? We do hold on roommate assignments because we want to make sure that we work on compatibility. It's very important to us that we pair students in rooms with compatible roommates. And I think that's important to the students as well. And so we do wait a little while on that so that we can increase the pool and increase our chances for compatibility. But in terms of letting you know exactly where you might live, we can do that much sooner than our peer institutions. So I mentioned that living in campus housing allows you to get more involved and connect on campus. And I want to take a moment to specifically talk about what connecting on campus can look like. So we have a little under 1,000 undergraduate students, and yet we have over 70 active student organizations. That's a lot for a campus our size, and it says a lot about our students. Our students like to get involved, and I tell folks that most of the time when I'm talking with a student about involvement, sometimes I'm talking about being over-involved. I'm not so much talking about struggling to get connected, because there are so many opportunities. And if you were to pull a current student aside and say, tell me what you're involved in, you would get a list of things that they would name, all of the clubs and organizations that they're involved in, co-curricular opportunities, as well as what they're doing in the classroom with projects and the classes that they're currently enrolled in. Some examples of some of the organizations that are provided at Emory-Henry, affinity groups. And so affinity groups are kind of your community within your community. And so I think about the rugby team, for example. It's not an NCAA sport, but it is something that our students were very interested in. And we developed a rugby team that competes with other colleges and universities. So we offer that. The outdoor adventure team, they are an affinity group as well. When you think about Southwest Virginia, you think about an outdoor wilderness with lots of opportunities to get outside and engage in outdoor recreation. And so naturally, we have an organization in a program that fosters those opportunities for students. We have a very active Greek life program here, fraternities and sororities. All of our fraternities and sororities are local to the college, and so they're not national organizations. They're locally affiliated groups that originated here. And this year, many of them celebrated their centennial. So a long, rich history of fraternity and sorority life here, going back 100 years. Intramural recreation, intramural sports. So let's say that students are involved in athletics, but their sport is not in season. They still want to be active. They can get involved in intramural sports, or even non-athletic students wanting to be active, get involved in intramural sports. And that ranges from things like intramural basketball, volleyball, down to things like billiards, ping pong. We even do something called Battleship, where we put canoes in the pool and you try to sink other people's canoe. It's a lot of fun to watch. I don't know how fun it is to play. It seems like people have fun, but I have a good time watching. A lot of community service opportunities. Emory-Henry proudly boasts about our community service involvement. 100% of our students are involved in community service opportunities. And we have won several times the Presidential Medal for Community Service. This summer, and late spring this summer and into the fall, we developed a virtual programming outlet called The Hangout, because we knew that our students weren't going to be able to be connected to the campus in the ways that they usually are. And for a student body that is very involved, that was really important to us. And so we developed The Hangout And not only were students providing virtual programming for other students, but we invited community partners as well as some of our influential alumni. So Tony Atkins comes to mind, who is the president pro tempore of California State Senate, who read to our students via the Hangout. We have nationally awarded poets, musicians, all who performed for our students virtually. So we are very committed to this involvement and sense of connection, as well as esports being the last one. I know that's really exciting for a lot of folks. And that's a growing trend in higher education, and Emory-Henry is tapping into that. And so we are developing an esports program that will allow teams to compete against other teams in an esport venue. So that's really exciting too. Finally, a few things that I want to mention about succeeding on campus by living on campus and getting connected on campus. One of the things that we know for sure, and the research backs it up time and time again, students who get involved outside the classroom have higher GPAs and are more likely to graduate. Not only can we show that research nationally, but we can show the truth of that through data that we collect at the college. Getting involved matters. And so for a lot of students who are thinking about coming in for their first year, thinking about a major, thinking about courses, that's very important to a lot of our students. But I want to challenge you, it's not always at the forefront of a student's mind to think about how am I going to get involved outside of the classroom. The class schedule is very different than what a lot of students are used to. And so it's important to find ways to spend one's time when they're in campus life. And again, we have a whole host of opportunities for our students to do that. Begin thinking about what would you want to do at Emory-Henry College outside the classroom? How would you want to spend your time? It's very important to consider. A smaller college means more opportunities for involvement, leadership, and relationships. And so again, we foster that small community setting because we know that it provides more opportunities. And so my peers in the field at other institutions, especially larger universities, they tell me stories about students who are constantly competing for leadership roles in a sea of students, right? By being a smaller institution with so many involvement opportunities, that means more opportunities for leadership. And so our students are developing leadership skills across the board and have so many opportunities to do that because of our size, but because of so many involvement opportunities. So it's an interesting dynamic that Emory-Henry is able to provide in terms of shaping and building leadership skills that you'll take outside of the college once you graduate. And the last point there is the most important point to me. So I'm an Emory-Henry graduate, graduated in 2007. I chose to continue working at Emory-Henry College, my alma mater, because I really believe in what Emory-Henry is about. And one of the things that it's a founding principle and motivation for why I do my work at Emory-Henry is because each Emory-Henry student leaves with a legacy as an individual and not as a number. We aren't a population of thousands. We're a population of a little under 1,000. It is very easy to walk across campus and see every day people that you know, and they greet you by name. They don't see you as a student ID number. That's very important. To be an individual and maintain that identity as an individual really shapes and develops our students in ways that I think is very transformational. And so it's why I continue to do my work and why I value Emory-Henry so much. And so if you're someone who wants to maintain a small, intimate community setting, build really strong relationships, have opportunities to get involved, build leadership, and leave your college with people saying, it wasn't that number that left, it was that particular individual who left, and here's their legacy. Then Emory-Henry is a great place for you. Thank you for letting me speak with you.
Thank you so much, Josh. If you wouldn't care to stay on, because we do have several questions, but we're going to wait until the end to go through all the questions. Several of them are cropping up for housing. So I will go ahead and let Odessa, and then we will get to your questions.
All right, so I'll keep this relatively brief so we can get to those questions, but we'll talk about the application process and financial aid. So in order to apply as of this next upcoming year, all we need is your completed application. We can take the Common App or the Emory and Henry app, and we need your official high school transcripts. Our early application deadlines are November 15th and January 15th. And again, those aren't mandatory to hit, but you get a couple different priorities over dorms and classes if you do hit those. In order to present you with a financial aid award letter, we will also need you to file your FAFSA. You can do it before you get accepted, but do it after October 1st. We're also hosting a FAFSA workshop on October 1st where we will go over how to fill out and file your FAFSA. So I highly encourage students to attend that. We also want you to audition or interview for any potential scholarships by March 1st. Once you receive your financial aid award letter, you can go ahead and submit your enrollment deposit. It's $200, and then we'll get you all signed up for one of our 3 class registration days over the summer. So you can see we have quite a couple different, opportunities as far as financial aid, scholarships, work study, things like that go. There's also a lot of awards that are outside awards that we can accept, which is a pretty cool opportunity too. If you look out on the internet and things like that, look for other scholarships, we'll usually accept them. And then this is our list of performance and affinity scholarships. So this is just, I like to say it's extra opportunities for students to get money. So you cannot stack these. You can pick a performance or an affinity scholarship, but you can't cross between the 2 of them. But if you guys find any of those that are interesting to you, feel free to reach out to us and we can get you in touch with the people in charge of those programs. And then finally, we have our costs and fees for the next year. So our tuition is currently $34,500. That's held steady for the last 5 years. So, it should stay right about there no matter what. And then we have all first-year accepted students receiving financial aid immediately with their acceptance letter, which is awesome. And we've actually raised our merit scholarship. That's a scholarship based on your GPA and the first one that you'll receive. We've raised that now from $10,000 to $23,000, again, based on your GPA. The average out-of-pocket cost for most students ends up being around $20,000 a year. And I'll hand it back over to Tracy for questions.
Thank you. And once again, I just want to thank everyone, all of our guest speakers. You guys are fantastic on a daily basis, and I absolutely love working with everybody here. But I always just greatly appreciate when you take your time out of your Saturdays to come and speak to our prospective students and just really just show off just how amazing this college is. So I greatly, greatly appreciate the time that you have taken. And I appreciate all of our attendees who are taking the time to learn more about us, and hope that everyone is able to get to some of our live sessions that we'll also be hosting throughout this week. So I'll go ahead and start getting through questions. The first one is, can someone please talk about the Honors College program? So yes, Rachel did mention on Wednesday at 4:15, we are going to have a live session with the head of our honors program, but would any of the counselors just kind of like to touch base on that just in case you're unable to get to that session?
I guess I'll go ahead and jump in since I am the current liaison. We are still working out exactly what the honors program is going to look like next year, as the college is going through a couple of transitions with the way that we're accepting students and what that's going to mean for the honors program. But in the past, and most likely in the future as well, the honors program is there for students who are really interested in just taking that next step of academic rigor, with some slightly more intense classes, a few more projects that they're involved in. In the past, admission is by interview after application has been submitted, and once you've been admitted to the college, the honors program will take a look at that admissions packet that you put in, take a look at GPA, if there are any test scores, essays, letters of recommendation, it's all taken into account. And then the honors program issues invitations to come and interview for the program. And the class usually sits at right around 15 students that are offered that opportunity to join the honors program, take part in those classes and those research presentations, and just kind of another way to get involved on campus. But Dr. Boltwood on Wednesday will go into probably far more detail.
Thank you, Rachel. So for Josh, I have several housing questions for you. So one of them is, what if you don't want to live on campus? So can you kind of go into the difference between being a resident or commuter?
Sure. So even though we do have a residency requirement, we do again have students who commute to the campus. And so our commuter requirement is that students need to live with a parent, legal guardian, or spouse within a 1-hour drive of the campus. And the reason why we say 1-hour drive instead of setting a mile limit is because in our region, it may look like I'm 20 minutes from Richlands, Virginia, for example. But it takes me an hour to get to Richlands. And so it's because of the mountainous terrain, the roads operate a little bit differently there. And so we set it based on the amount of time that it would take you to commute to the campus. And so that's our commuter requirement. We also offer a residency waiver requirement that allows students to live in off-campus housing who aren't within a 1 hour's drive. I will mention that it takes some effort to get a residency requirement. And again, the reason why we do that is because we know that, and have such a good track record in knowing that living on campus increases a student's connection to resources and chances for success. And so it's not something that we just hand out easily because we do believe that the residency requirement does have a real impact on the student's experience.
Thank you. The next one is, what are the limits for freshman housing? Do the freshmen have to stay in halls, or could they stay in one of the small houses or one of the apartments? So like the village.
So your first year, you are assigned a space. And what we do is we have you complete a form that collects a lot of information about you. And then we work to find a roommate who is compatible, and we assign first year housing. The next year, we have a housing selection process, and every year after that, that allows you to see what's open and available, and you get to choose where you want to live after that. The reason why we assign the first year is we like to keep our first year students in a first year community together. The reason why we like to do that is because it gives you an opportunity to operate as a cohort and meet people that you will know all 4 years and even beyond during your time at Emory-Henry. And so we like to have the first year class together to build those really important relationships. It also allows us to program in a way that helps you get connected more, provides more information on resources, works through any needs that you have as a first year student by doing that. And so we really put most of our first year students together. Now, that being said, some of our smaller houses in the village area on campus, for instance, are themed housing. And so honors housing is a thing, spiritual life housing. And so we do have some themed housing options that some of our first year students, if they're within that program, can choose to live there. They don't have to choose or don't have to live there. They can choose to stay with the broader first year community, but that is an option for some of our first year students as well. But generally, most of our first year students go into a large first year community together.
Are sports players put together in housing? So when you all start assigning housing, do you try, I'm elaborating on this question, but do you try to place like teams in housing together?
And a lot of our coaches would prefer that. It's really, I try to leave that up to our students. And so if you don't want to room with a teammate, you don't have to room with a teammate, and we can work together on that. But a lot of coaches would want that because it's building the relationships. I will say this, and I always say this about roommate pairings. Some of our first year students sometimes know somebody else who's coming in, and they have an existing relationship and they want to go into the room together. I have found over 14 years of working in housing residence life that the best roommates are not always the best of friends. You can spend too much time with a person, and too much time can sometimes create fatigue in the relationship, also leads to conflict, things like that. And so some of our student athletes have requested not to live with teammates because they know they're going to be spending a lot of time with the teammate on the field and on the court anyways. And so really I try to work and give that to the student to decide, do you want to live with a teammate? Or do you not want to live with a teammate and you want to live with somebody who's completely different and gives you an opportunity to meet somebody that you wouldn't normally meet otherwise? I really leave that up to the student. But our coaching staff would really like for teams to live together because it does build those relationships early on. So again, I kind of work with the student on that.
Thank you, Josh. The next question is going to be either Dr. Puglisi or Fred can answer this one. How would the process work if you are part of the concurrent admissions program?
I'll talk about that first, and Fred certainly can join in. The concurrent admissions program is an agreement we have developed with community colleges in our region, which allows students to attend the community college for the first 2 years, but during that time to be accepted at Emory and Henry College. And so during that time when the student is at the community college, they build a relationship with the advising process, the admissions process at Emory and Henry. We can give financial aid. We can also, financial aid advice, counseling. But we will also help the student while they're at the community college to take the right curriculum to lead them seamlessly into what they want to study at Emory and Henry. And so that when they're finished with the associate's degree at the community college, they seamlessly transition right into Emory and Henry College.
And Tracy, just to follow up and add a little bit more to that, with the process, that's where it comes to where it's really a case by case. So a student could be still taking that opportunity at a community college and getting a feel for a couple of different things, may not have an exact idea of what they would want to kind of hone in on majoring in. And so in that situation, that would more so be a conversation with myself and that student exploring different options, right? To where in the case of, and we're talking about making sure a student is taking the correct classes and making sure that those are, coming over, a student that knows more of what they want to do once they get to Emory and Henry, that situation will be a little bit different to where I will be connecting those students with people in the actual department so that they're getting it directly from the department and there's no confusion. So I think this is a great opportunity for the institution. And I think that we have been really working on being transfer friendly. And so this is a really good opportunity and we look forward to it.
Thank you, guys. How many students on average stay on campus over the weekend?
I'll take that. There's no hard numbers on that. It really depends on what's going on. And so, for instance, we had Labor Day recently, and so a lot of families had time off, and so students traveled home for kind of a long weekend opportunity at home. And so our weekend numbers looked a little different. It really depends on what's going on campus and what's going on in the region and holiday opportunities. I will say that, for instance, in the fall when we have football home games, that can look, well, we fill up. And so with a campus that's usually a little under 1,000 students and about 300 faculty and staff, we can hit about 8,000 people sometimes on a game day. Record is something we've seen before. And so it really depends on what's going on campus and what's going on in the region.
Great, thank you. So in answer to Isaiah's question regarding marching band, yes. On Thursday at 4:15, our marching band director, Dr. Matt Frederick, will be hosting a live session to discuss marching band and also the music department. And And I think I got everybody's question. So we will go ahead. We are a little bit over time, but that is absolutely fine. I love the fact that everybody's been asking questions and being super engaged this morning. But you have everyone's contact information. You're always welcome to reach out to me if you can't remember who presented or anything, because I have all that information. I will be sending out reminders at the beginning of the week for our live sessions. So the next one coming up will be on Monday at 3:30, and that will be with our student panel. We have about 6 or 7 of our current students that are there for you to ask questions about their daily lives, their majors, their interests, and everything. And then for all of these sessions, you will be using the same Zoom link, and we will be doing breakout rooms within those Zoom links. So again, thank you all for joining us. It was great to get to see everybody, and we hope that you all have a great rest of your weekend, and we hope to see you next week.
Can I jump in real quick?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for
Yeah.
joining us.
Sorry, I don't mean to. There was one question about campus safety. How safe is the campus?
Oh, okay.
I did want to get to that because I know that can be an important question on a lot of people's minds. Emory-Henry has been ranked nationally before because of how safe the students provide feedback, how safe they feel the campus is. There are lots of things that we offer. And one of the things that we promote for first-year students right when they get here is the LiveSafe app. So we have an app on your phone that you can use that sends alerts directly to you, but also it provides features like letting you connect with somebody that you're comfortable with who can actually watch you walk across campus from one hall to the next to make sure that, maybe you need that for a little while to feel safe on campus. And so you can also put in, it takes me about 5 minutes to get from this building to that building, and have somebody check in with you when you get to that building after 5 minutes, and it will alert if that person hasn't checked in so that they can follow up with you. So there are a lot of different, we have the blue emergency poles on campus that allow for you to connect with emergency services. So there are a lot of things that we do on campus to help students feel safe. But generally, if you were to ask our students, the feedback that they continually provide is that it does feel like a very safe campus.
Thank you. And I do apologize, Madeline. I overlooked that question. Dr. Puglisi, this would be for you. Can you explain why the graduation rate is just over half?
Sure. Actually, our retention and graduation rates are very competitive with our peer institutions. Not having said that, we constantly monitor all of that, from retention from first semester to second semester, from freshman to sophomore year, et cetera. And Fred talked to you, Fred George, excuse me, talked to you about student success initiatives that we have developed and the kinds of support we give to students. There are a variety of reasons why students leave institutions where they start and move somewhere else. But our goal is always to encourage and help and support students to achieve their success, their goals. And so we monitor the retention constantly from semester to semester, and we're always looking at ways to help students to be successful and achieve their goals. So we look at those percentages, and I said they are comparable, and in some ways towards the top end of our peer institute. But that doesn't mean we ever are satisfied. We'd like every student to be successful and every student to get through Emory-Henry College and achieve their goals, or for us to help them get wherever it is they want to go. So we work on a daily basis and through a variety of channels and avenues to make sure we're helping students to get out of their college education what they hope to get out of it. Fred, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, didn't go into like too much of it with the time I have for the slides, but that really plays into effect when I was talking about that slide with the hub, which is that system that we use to really be able to monitor students. But again, that retention it's a campus effort, it's a collaborative effort, but the retention for each student is so different. And the reasons and the needs of every student is so different. So it's not necessarily that you can go and pick a model and set that in place and say, this is how we're going to solve the problem for every single student, right? So that's where we're really excited about the Access Advising team, and that we're really going to have opportunities to have one set advisor for first year students and that are undecided until they actually, declare their major. But we're also still there even when those students do declare. And so we're there. That's where we're there to talk more about not only the academic major or that interest, but also about the other areas that really have an impact. How are things going at home? How's life on campus? And that's where that collaborative piece comes into play, to where we as advisors are knowing like what our strengths, and then also knowing who has better strengths in other areas and really using our resources. And so one of the things that we do, I think second week, third week at the most on campus, is we send out a survey to all first year students, and it's called the CSI and Centralized Student Inventory. But it's really just a fancy title for a survey, right? We work with this company, Ruffle Norlevitz, and what that survey does is it asks a series of questions that really the ultimate goal is to gauge how, not what a student can actually do, but how they perceive themselves in their college readiness. And that is when I talked about some of those kind of mandatory or strongly encouraged meetings. That's one of the first meetings that we have. And so we can look at those case by case with the student, but the really interesting thing is you can also look at it by the students as a group score and ratings from the students' freshman seminar class. And then ultimately we look at those results for the entire first year class to see what the similarities of those students are. But again, we do have the data to be able to kind of break it down on an individual basis. And that's where, those kind of outside factors out. Sometimes it is like things in a classroom, but sometimes it's a little bit else. Sometimes students have, issues that they're worried about financially, or different support, or they want to be engaged in something else, or they feel isolated. So that's why, it would be great. So we can just say, hey, boom, this is the fix, and this is what we're going to do, and this is definitely going to work. But it is definitely case by case. But we are really excited about some of the models that we have and the other information and resources that we're using. So we really want to try to help each student individually, and we're definitely taking steps towards that.
Thank you both. I think we got to everybody now. But like I said, if you think of anything else, you're always more than welcome to reach out to any of us. And we do hope to see you later on in the week for several of our live sessions that we will be hosting.